We are here with Eliza Morris, VP Consulting at Octagon. This topic that we're going to discuss is a big one because Eliza works remotely and she really relies on herself to produce. So we're going to talk about productivity. I'm going to pass it off to Eliza to take the reins.
Yes, thank you. Productivity is an important one, I think, no matter what your job is, where you work. I actually recall when I was in school, it was a big challenge for me. I was a big procrastinator. It was hard for me to get stuff done on time or ahead of time and manage my schedule. So that's something I've really worked on as a professional. And as Caleb said, I've been really challenged doing it because now I work remotely. So I'm not in an office and it's all on me. I have to make sure I'm still producing even while I'm working from home, and I can, duck out and get something to eat or go watch TV or go do something else. So I have to manage my time even more directly. I think it's important. A couple of the tricks that I've used and learned over the years is one thing is to really plan out your day as much as possible. So what I like to do is, as much as I can, put chunks of time down on my calendar to say, for the first hour of the day, I'm going to respond to emails. I get a lot of emails that come through overnight. So I need to respond to those emails and focus on that for an hour in the morning. But then you can really spend hours and hours on your email if you want. I need to bucket out the next 2-hour block of time to work on urgent projects. So I might have a PowerPoint. I'm bad. I often put off big projects like that, so a PowerPoint or a presentation or something, but I have to block off a 2-hour block to just work on that PowerPoint. And by the way, during that time I have to shut off my email. I try to shut off my text. Really focus is really key, and I have to force myself to do it. Give myself a break to turn my brain off and go get something to eat, and then I schedule myself for something else. Even things like once a week I'll try and schedule a half an hour to make a phone call to somebody I haven't talked to in a while. Check LinkedIn and connect to people. So really understanding what your priorities are, what's urgent, what is going to take you longer, and sort of plan out your day as much as you can. And that's really the only way you're going to be productive. Otherwise, you just let yourself get caught up, and I'll check Facebook, and 2 hours later, I'm down the rabbit.
And we're all guilty of that. So I think the big thing that you mentioned at the end was priorities. So how do you prioritize that? Your emails come in first. Maybe it is because they do come overnight. And then the urgent projects, how do you prioritize all that?
Yeah, that's really hard, I think, especially now because everybody is used to responses being instantaneous. I'm on email, but I'm also, of course, on text. I'm also on instant message with my clients and my coworkers. So people want instant responses right away. So I think a couple of things. You have to sort of bucket it into, I know, especially I work for an agency and I have clients. So if a client calls me and says I have something urgent, I have to drop my plan for the day. So, and that happens quite a bit. So I have to sort of say client priorities come first. There are long-term projects that maybe I can put off for a day or two and still be fine.
Do a little bit, chunk at a time, kind of thing,
But really, I also have to try and tell myself it's okay if I don't respond to an email within 10 minutes. If I get back to a person in an hour, 2 hours tonight, that's okay. There are often emails that I'll file away and then I'll respond to late at night. Once my kids have gone to bed, I'll get back online and just respond to a couple of emails. So I think it's sort of looking at what your particular priorities are. In a client business, it's a client. In another kind of business, it might be something else.
Sure. So it sounds like you have a good system for yourself. What are some advices besides the calendar, kind of blocking off times, that you could give for these students to kind of create their own system?
Yeah, I would say trying to focus as much as you can on the task at hand is important. I find when I let myself, I'll start one thing and then say, oh, I remember I have to do something else, and I'll stop that and go to something else. And then I have 2 things that aren't done. So as much as possible, trying to focus on one task to finish it. I think another one, which is so obvious no matter what you're doing, is don't let something linger. If you know you have to get something done, don't wait because it's a difficult task. Just check it off your list right away. So as much as you can, try not to procrastinate on whether it's big or little.
Sure. So productivity is really tied to results, and it sounds like you have a really good system. I think you offered some good advice to the students. So let's end there with productivity, and thank you very much.
Great, thanks.